The order was determined by three things. I did a matrix. One was an estimate of how much staff time it would take. So if it took a lot more time, that would generally push it to the lower list. The importance of the document, if the document is more of a guiding document that is needed to back up other documents, it was pushed to the top. And then the third is importance. I forget what the third one is. But the matrix, basically. So what we ended up with is you end up with general plan type documents as guiding principles near the top. And then a couple that we are finishing up of ordinances, the historic building, well, I guess starting that one tonight.
That was quick.
Yeah, and then the RPZ hopefully will be winding down here in the next couple months. And then wildfire ordinance. So this was put up near the top because of its impact on so many homes and the potential impact it has if we fail to act with the fire agreement that we recently done.
Is that the wildfire ordinance for just training and mitigation included in our budget? But I thought that was part of the agreement we already signed.
Well, the city has an obligation to do a wildfire plan, mitigation plan. We also should be looking at an ordinance or something to regulate development that would make buildings less resistant, communities less resistant, or more resistant to fires.
Well, standards.
There is, well, one of the options we have is there is an entire code called the Wildland Interface Code. It could be adopted as part of the building code, and we've talked about that. It certainly has a lot of impacts on red ledges as far as how homes are built, and we should have a discussion about either adopting that code or at least some basic principles that the fire department has asked us to look at.
Tell me again the name of the code.
Urban Wildland Interface Code, I believe is the title of that.
And that's under the state?
Yeah, it's part of the building codes. It's not a mandatory code that the cities adopt.
It's fairly onerous.
It is. It is.
If you would eliminate a lot of trees in that development, you'd have to
But
have,
it mostly affects residents.
yes,
Yeah.
you'd have to have more vegetation separation from structures.
The council's talked about general plan training, what the stuff that happened with Envision Utah. I think if you're going to embark on trying to improve your plans and ordinances, we probably should get you some training. The council recently said that the trails plan is about most important, so the planning commission talked about it last week and has asked for it to come back to another work meeting in a format where they can understand it a little better. The annexation policy plan.
Hey, do you know if those guys from the engineering could maybe give them those maps they used and those big charts when we did the...
They have.
Maybe they could give
Yeah, the
those
planning
to...
commission did have those, but they asked for them to be put in context of our, I guess, city boundaries and city roads and stuff. And, to try to understand
When you
that.
say that this is the order of what you're doing here. When you say adopt countywide trails plan, the idea is to bring it to the council, because when you said that council said they wanted to adopt this, I don't remember voting one way or the other on that.
Okay, bad words. The council wanted this.
Some of the council.
Start the process.
Start the process, yeah. Okay, the annexation policy plan, why is it up there? Well, if you're going to, if you're going to do a general plan amendment, you kind of need to know where you're going to go. Once that's done, you also, and in conjunction with that, you should do a land use plan along with that. Just like I was saying earlier, and I think Tracy alluded to it, you don't just show a map. You need to talk about police impacts, fire, and all the other.
And that's the area that's the bigger issue with what we were talking about in the county, right?
Yeah. And we do all that analysis, and then you, as a council, decide, hey, we want to change our annexation plan. Recently, we've had IDP, Thomas Eddington, present the master plan that he drafted. I heard some council members say they wanted to look at that. I don't know what looking at it means. I don't think the council even knows yet, but I think there are ideas that were good that the council wanted to look at.
Would we have to bid that out to consider master plan? Would we have to go through a bid process and new consultants again?
No, that's already what he gave us.
Yeah, he's presented that document that has all these ideas in it. Some
Recommendations from that.
So when you said some council wanted to look at what we saw, was
well, I saw your head nodding. Yeah, let's bring it back and look at it in the future. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Whether we adopt or act on any of those
Right.
7 points.
Yeah.
I didn't nod my head.
Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, please.
But I always.
Not for anything.
Okay, so then we get to this next one on number 9 is probably could be combined with number 6. In fact, I'd say it probably is. Like the guidance I showed up here, if we go into the Twin Peaks area. Roger Brooks has, I saw Ryan here. Thank you, Ryan. So Roger Brooks has done a study. I don't think the council's had an opportunity to have his findings presented. Ryan had been scheduled. I would like to see if we could do that, because a lot of the issues touch on downtown economic development that you, as a council, have said you were interested in. And so that's why that's up there. The downtown plan could actually be part of that there from number 11.
On that, I'm very interested in hearing him. I wasn't able to get to the one when he presented months ago,
Yeah.
but that would certainly would need to be more involved than to put it on our regular agenda. What I had in mind for the training for council on the general plan is quite a chunk of time. Maybe those 2 things ought to be combined into a day-long conference. Would be my suggestion.
Oh, the Roger Brooks thing and some training?
Training on
Yeah,
the
that's a
general
great
plan.
idea. We could invite a trainer, and then we could have it.
Well, he's got more to present than an hour in city council, and so does the other guy.
Yeah, you're right. We probably
There's
talked.
a 2+ hour video on YouTube you can watch the Roger Brooks.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then, yeah, training, so that could easily fill a whole day. The downtown redevelopment district, the council's talked about that from time to time. Update the moderate income housing plan. The state has reviewed our plan and rated it pretty well, but suggested we update it with more recent census data. Update the transportation plan. If you indeed do make changes to the annexation policy plan and increase its size, we need to revisit transportation.
Where's the roads?
Appeals and variance authority. That's something we've talked about. It was talked about in the form-based code. Important, but it's not a simple task. We have to go through every item that is approved in our code and move the authority from one board to another. Mandatory affordable housing ordinance. I'm not sure that the council wants this, but we've certainly heard the county talk about it, and Chief Booth talked about affordable housing, and I think there was at least enough interest that we ought to talk about, do we need to change our affordable housing ordinance? The mayor and other council members have asked for the conditional uses to be removed from the code. In fact, Mark even mentioned that today, that he went to some training, and that's kind of the...
League of Cities is really training hard on.
Sure.
You go on that, right?
Yeah. Revise the zoning ordinance with clear language, very important thing to do. But you're talking several hundred pages of text. It's not something that is easy. It's very strenuous and long. And then finally, create a slope ordinance for hillside development.
Could I just done one of those in the, what is it, the downtown redevelopment. Is there someone that, we're looking at ways, I think, to fund downtown parking or things like that. Is there a source that you have, a source in mind that's an expert on what things we can do and how those can work, how they involve the businesses in downtown?
Well, certainly that could even be a training exercise to start, where we could bring in some, people from the state or even Ryan, I think could help do that, and bring in somebody who can explain how we finance different things, different mechanisms. There's several different ways.
Well, if and when we do that, if we could please involve whatever we envision as downtown, I keep hearing different definitions, but when we do that, please involve the businesses in that training and get them to buy in or not, because if they don't want to be redeveloped or they don't cooperate or whatever, it's kind of...
Well, and maybe the term redevelopment's not the correct term. Maybe it's business improvement district,
Parking seems to be the single biggest issue I keep hearing. I paid attention as I drove down in kind of late at night, and what we're seeing come up is a lot of more craft, special shops that are starting to fill in some of these places. And I think that's what a lot of older cities, downtowns are doing. And a lot of people like to go shop in those areas.
So, Ryan Starks and Tony and I went to some training in Orem at Mountain Lands. That's been snowing that day, so I think it's February, March. And the philosophy is you really can't create something unless you have somebody that's willing to invest in your downtown, create some tax income.
That's why I wanted to...
The tax increments really only created through people making investment, enhancing the taxable value of the property. I think is the most likely way to drive money downtown is to incorporate, say, the development of the Basket Ritchie properties, if we ever get Smith's Marketplace or whatever ends up happening there, to drive some of the monies that may be generated there back into the downtown. Unless we can get somebody that can be like a Zions Bank that'll knock down, take a property that may be worth $500,000 and make it worth $4 million or something like that, to create something meaningful.
But one thing I'd like to see us explore is how to have a 2- or 3-story parking structure or something. Because of our Main Street problem, and that's why I've mentioned the hundreds, because you come up the backs. Not all of them have a good back access. But honestly, a lot of those businesses aren't even providing parking for their employees, let alone their customers. And they need to participate. But how can we get a parking structure for downtown?
We need to Highway 40 off Main Street first.
Do what?
Get Highway 40 off Main Street.
Well, Mayor, you know that. I hope you're not pledging that in your campaign. That's a pretty hard thing to do.
Yeah, but it's just, it's not a walkable community that.
Well, it isn't on Main Street, but it is on First, South, West, and First.
Well, part of the problem we have with downtown is the fact that, you got a lot of businesses there, small businesses. Very, very small percentage of those businesses own the building they're in. It's somebody that lives outside of town, they've invested in a building, and they got tenants. And so you can talk to the businesses all you want, we need to get parking behind the business. They have no way of doing that because they don't even own the property.
So we need to bring the tenants in, or the owners in, huh?
You need to bring the owners in, and you'd be surprised how many of the owners don't even live in the county.
For the state.
Maybe not even the state.
Some in Costa Rica.
Some in Costa Rica, some in California, and you talk to them about getting more parking, and if they've got their buildings full or their property rented, where's the incentive for it? You gotta figure out how it could be an incentive for them to make more money, because those are the people that are going to have to pony up and decide if they want to do a business improvement district. They've got to decide to commit to pay their share towards those improvements. And if you can't get that, it's not going to happen.
Well, maybe we don't have a problem.
We do have a problem.
Continue on, Billy.
Okay, I'll conclude with, the city has limited staffing resources. I've been contacted by every council member and mayor in this room and asked to put individual projects on here, and some have been canceled. And I guess what I'm asking is, you have limited staffing resources. You as a council have limited time yourself. And I guess, understand that we cannot get to all these. And I want to understand what you as a council feel is important so that we can direct our staff resources to be the most good for the most people for what's important to the council. That's why this list is here. Because we can't do it all, and we certainly can't do it all at once either.
Well, I like your list, Tony, and you put an order that you think is priority. You can always start at the top and work through it, I guess, with what time you have. I did suggest a couple, I think, we combine into all-day workshops. I'll certainly support trying to help that happen. I think we could use it. I think those ideas, I'd like to hear from them when we have time to sit and, I guess, absorb them. So that's something that wouldn't necessarily take much of your time except setting them up, right?
Right.
That's the Roger, the number 10, and I'll work with you on the number 5 because 4, sorry, training.
Okay.
Because I don't know what all the conditions are, but there was a willingness of who the League of Cities had to present to our all-day conference. And, we have she's on city staff. I don't know how much they would just have her come or if we'd have to pay a little, but, Jody's in Park City and she's been involved in every one of those presentations that Lee puts on. And this gentleman from West Valley or somewhere that was excellent. So I'll work with you on that. Let's find a day.
On the Roger Brooks thing, I think we should all watch the video before we come so that we have that as ground up. We should all come and spend 2 hours getting up to speed on that.
The videos.
It's on YouTube and the chamber has it.
How many years is it going to take to do this?
Depends on development and what other projects come up. And
What resource you need planning for?
yeah, so I guess let me answer it this way. So 1 through 4, including 10 and 5, I guess actually 1 through 5 can be done this year. After that, there's a lot of unknowns. Annexation policy plan, as we go through that, if it's unpalatable or requires a lot of analysis, maybe it can take 2 years. But that, again, after that, we're going to Vision Utah, so, how's that going to be? How much of my time is going to be involved in that? I don't know. I hope they do it all, but...
Well, now, Tony, are they going to come back to us now in the county with a cost? I guess some people like caviar, but I eat tuna, on my budget. But it may be wonderful, but 200,000 or 300,000, that's a chunk.
Well,
Now, it's not all ours, I understand, but when are we going to know what they want?
I'll contact you, Ryan, and I'll talk to him on the phone. That's his suggestion. He'd say do the cost analysis for us, for the whole county.
On the whole thing.
And we'll present it back to you and see where you want to go.
Look at this and I see 5 years of really hard, intense, consistent work. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. And that's with 2 of you on staff. And even if there could be a budget amendment made to put a 3rd person on your staff, we're still looking at 3 years of really hard work for these things. So I just think that we need more time to process the priority.
I think that's why we're calling it long-term planning goals. It's not something.
And I guess what I'd say is that absent any different direction, Tony will continue to work on these issues and list the priorities as they have time available based on what development applications are processed.
Well, I guess the second part of concern was if it's going to take that long to do all that, I think we need to move up the affordable housing ordinance because that's 3 years that we're going to lose on that issue. That's 3 years of development that we could potentially lose. I think we need to move up that fee that we're supposed to charge, or we could charge for low-income housing units, that fund. I don't want to lose 3 to 4 or 5 years on our affordable housing.
I think as far as affordable housing goes, the county is getting closer to adopting a mandatory affordable housing ordinance, and I think the city ought to get in line as soon as that's adopted and start working on that immediately.
You're agreeing with how you use that?
Yes.
I agree with it, yeah. If it's fair, let's get on with it. If it's not, you know.
So where would you put the priority?
Well, if the county's that close, Jake, do you know how close they are?
Well, I think they're probably within the next 6 to 9 months, they're probably going to adopt a mandatory affordable housing ordinance, and that's going to include this fee and lieu thing, and that they completed a study on it, and the fee and lieu is for the entire county is going to be around 85,000 instead of 28.
Yeah, so, but we need to adopt something like that within our city. Right, okay, I'm thinking that could be probably number 4. If the county has developed and worked on that so hard, hopefully that would mean that it would be easier for you to finesse for our city.
But those aren't like, and plus the ordinance is kind of a separate list, right? Like if it was number 15, it would be the top of the ordinance list, or you're not saying that after all those things are done, then we would look at those other things?
Right.
Progress along, because as quick as you move it up.
Right.
Somebody's gonna live.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know about, you got one other council, but 3 of us at least want to move that affordable housing thing up pretty good.
Okay, that's why I wrote a paper about that 2 years ago.
So, how many are you
So you
saying?
did too. So there's 4
I
of us.
suggested this 2 years ago, so I've been anxious.
You know what struggle I have with all of these issues? Is I have a priority of 1 on all of them.
Yeah,
It was-
everything.
It was so hard to say, gosh, this is more important than the other one.
I think priority 1 ought to be helping our staff with some more resources.
Exactly.
If you're taking it done, you better help them out. I don't think Tony wants to spend weekends here, do you?